So originally I was planning to order this on March 1st, the release date, but I was shopping and I always check the Lego aisles and happened to just see this there. It was there like a week early, 8 days early, so I couldn't resist it. I bought it and here it is. So yeah, I think this will be the perfect thing for me. It's like a UCS set for a fraction of the price. And I do have the Venator, and I barely have space for that. I would never have space for the UCS Falcon anytime soon, so I can easily see myself collecting all of these if they continue to make them, but let's get it out of the box. Let's see, is it actually worth it? Is it worth the $85 price tag? So it looks like we've got 11 bags here, some of them with not too much in them. We can see the brick separator in bag number 1, a printed piece in bag number 3, and the little display plaque in 25 years of Lego Star Wars brick in bag 11. And what a miracle, look at that, they're actual printed pieces. I was like so sure that at least the little plaque would be a sticker, but it's actually not, so that is great. And then we've got the instructions here, look at them. They are exactly in the UCS style. When you open the instructions, you see some pictures of the actual Millennium Falcon model, and then on the next page, some info about it repeated in a few different languages. Now it's time to open up bag 1 and start building. So we start off building the core of the ship, and inside we've got R2-D2 and Chewie playing their little alien hologram game in there with C-3PO off to the side. Then in the middle here are some very colorful bricks, which I don't mind as long as they get covered up. And that'll be it for bag 1. In bag 2, we build some more stud characters, and I can't think of who this one is. I thought maybe it was C-3PO at first, but I think he's over there by Chewie and R2, so can't think of who this is at the moment, but whoever it is goes right behind Han Solo, and then Leia goes right there next to him, before they get covered up here by some plates never to be seen again. Then they hook right here onto the side by R2 and Chewie. Now for the next little section, we've got Luke and old Ben in there, which go on the other side and get covered up as well. We've also got some slopes on the bottom now as it slowly begins to take shape. Now on to bag 3, where we put on some more of these little connector pieces. I'm really looking forward to seeing what connects to these because they look like they're pretty crucial to achieving the final shape of the ship. Next, we cover up the top with a few gray plates, and on top of that, a whole bunch of little slope pieces. Then it was time to put these 2 printed circle pieces on, 1 for each side. And after building up the top a bit more, we finish off these sections with all these little tiles and ingots. Also got a little bit of red in there and some jumper plates as well. It was a fun section to build. And next is bag 4, which doesn't have much in it. It's got some plates and bricks and this little bag full of tiles and grills, which are used to make these 2 long panels. I always enjoy building little greebled sections like these. Both sides are really nicely done, and I especially like this little section here, where we've got all these different cuts and this one little piece peeking out. And now for the most satisfying part of the build so far, which is hooking these 2 panels together. So this one goes here on the top, while the other one goes on the bottom. Then they connect to each other perfectly with this little ball joint. And now they have this really nice subtle slope to them. Then we've got bag number 5, which is like the right wing section of the Millennium Falcon. And this was great to build too. It starts off with this middle section, and then you build a plate for the top and a plate for the bottom. Then to cover up that hole in the side, we have this long skinny piece. Next, we hook it onto the main body and build a few little sections to add onto it and cover up that gap. Now for bag 6, which is the left wing section, and it's not just a mirrored version of the one we just built. It has some red in there and it stretches much further back since there's no cockpit on this side. Next, we're building the stand from bag 7, and this was one of the parts I was most looking forward to building. It's mainly black, which is great for a stand, and when I got to this portion of the build, I was thinking maybe I forgot to put a piece on, like why is it so wiggly, but a few pages later we put this piece on to lock it in place at an angle, which I thought was just amazing. That's one of the things I love so much about building Lego sets, is seeing all these techniques and ways to put pieces together that I just never would have thought of myself. Then it was time to put the incomplete Falcon onto the stand. Now on to bag number 8, where we will be building one of the bottom side panels and the cockpit. First is the bottom panel, which is made up of lots of little wing pieces. Then it hooks onto this piece here, which I was wondering about earlier. And it isn't strong enough to hold itself up, but that won't be a problem once we finish the whole section. So the cockpit itself was a pretty interesting build. It's got some Technic pieces inside, which are covered up by some plates and slopes. Then we have some more colorful pieces inside the cone-shaped portion, which just looks beautiful. I love how it perfectly blends with that round 2x2 tile on the front. Though if you look straight down at this section like this, it does have some gaps where you can see a lot of empty space and also the Technic pin that connects the little cockpit. So it hooks right onto this piece here like this. And now that that's on, we can push this bottom panel right up into there and it's now held in place just fine. Back to the top now, where we will be putting on this piece here, then connecting this little piece over here to finish off the shape of the section. And I just love how they filled up that surrounding space around the cockpit with all these little wing pieces. I think it looks really good. Now to bag number 9, where we start building the back section of the Millennium Falcon. First is this top panel with some round printed tiles on it. Then we've got the bottom panel here, and these are going to hook together much like the front section of the ship. The front panel goes on the top here, then of course the bottom one on the bottom, and then you just clamp them together like this and they create a nice little slope again. Next we've got the 2 bottom side panels which hook onto these little pieces like this. Now for bag number 10, which starts off with these 2 identical pieces. Then finally it's time for this long blue tube. And I really struggled a lot getting these little Technic pins in there, but eventually I got them in and then put these little grabby wrench pieces in there on both sides. So you hook it in like this, then you stretch it all the way around to hook it onto the other side. And there we go, it's getting very close to being complete. None of the pieces fell off there during that unintentional drop test, so it's pretty stable so far. Then we build these 2 top panels to finish off the back of the Millennium Falcon. They hook on just like the bottom panels do. Then you clamp the top and bottom halves together just like this. And I like how each side has some variety to it. This side has this little piece going over this grill, while the other side has a different piece going over an ingot. So yeah, I'm really happy with how the back turned out. And I think the blue tube works just fine. Now I gotta open up bag 11 to cover up this hole. First thing we build from the bag is this bottom panel, which hooks on the same as usual. Then we build a similar looking panel for the top, but this one has the radar dish on it, which can rotate a bit, but they put this little jumper plate there to kind of keep it in place. And now that it's done, we'll hook it on here, clamp both sides together, put this little gun on the top, and the Millennium Falcon is now complete. Now we've just got to add the display plaque and the 25 years of LEGO Star Wars brick. The plaque just hooks onto these hinges like this and then right onto the stand itself. As for the 25 years brick, all you add to this is a 1x4 tile, then it can just be placed anywhere really. You can even put it on the stand here if you take off these little grill pieces. I think it looks great like that, and you could also add some minifigs to both or either sides if you wanted to. And yeah, it would be nice if they included a Han Solo minifigure with this set, but it wasn't a deal breaker for me. They did a great job making this such a detailed model at such a small size, and it was great seeing all the interesting techniques they used to recreate the shape of the ship so accurately. They really just put thought into every little detail. Like right here at the front, they have these forward-facing ingots, so you have something interesting to look at, as opposed to it being just an open hole or something. Then on the underside of the cockpit here, there's this little piece that goes slightly under this plate. Just little things like that. And the rest of the underside has a good amount of detail on it too. As for the stability, everything stays together pretty well. The strongest part of the ship is this cross section going out to the sides and the front and back. You can easily just hold it and fly it around without worrying about anything falling off. You could hold it sideways, upside down, or however you want to, as long as you have your grip somewhere on the core of the ship. And the corner sections do stay together fine, they just aren't as strong as the other sections of the ship, so I would avoid picking it up from any of the 4 corners. I'm really happy to finally have a Millennium Falcon in my collection after like 20 years of collecting LEGO Star Wars, and I'm completely satisfied with it. It's small, full of detail, and looks great on display.